Samma Sambuddhasse Namo Tasse Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhasse Saddha ko Prākmana dve Dvida vipākā ditteva dhamme Katame dve. Dear Dhamma friends, that today the first day in our Dhamma talk, and as a suggestion came, and we decided to base all the Dhamma talks in a series with the common subject or the particular, based upon one particular discourse known as Chanki Sutta in the Sutta Pitaka, out of 3 baskets, the Sutta Pitaka, and specifically in the Majjhima Nikaya, that is come under number 95. There are 152 discourses, middle length, and this one is the 95th one, namely the Chanki Sutta. So today being the first day, I have to give some background information that how this particular discourse came into being, and according to the traditional way of presenting, Venerable Ananda is relating it, telling at that time, the time where this incident took place, the Buddha verse was at the Kosala Janapada, that particular area known as Kosala, and together with a great number of bhikkhus, while he was on his journey, reached a village called Upasadika, and he decided to take rest on the east side of the Upasadika village. There was a forest dwellings. So next day, knowing that the Buddha and the disciple reached the forest nearby, the villagers from that particular village known as Upasada started to pay respect to the Buddha and the disciples. The chieftain or the village headman was a Brahmin and the highest caste person. He has seen people are moving from the village toward the forest side, and he asked one of his helpers to go and ask what is the reason for them to go in groups. So when he inquired, he came to know that the Buddha has come to the close by forest and dwelling over there, so they wanted to go there and pay respect. Accordingly, the Upasada, the chief, the Brahman, he asked that messenger to let the other villagers, specifically the high caste, Brahmana caste villagers, to know that the village headman is willing to go and pay respect to the Buddha. So that day was a special day. There were 500 other visiting senior Brahmana rankers, elders, gathered together for a conference or something like that. And everyone accordingly came to know that the village headman, their leader, planning to visit the Buddha. So they came rushing and reasoned out, telling that it is not nice for an elderly person from the Brahmana caste to go to the Buddha. Instead, the Buddha has to come and pay respect to you, because you are in many ways greater than the Buddha. So they, the villager, the senior, the visiting Brahmanas, gave number of reasons why the Buddha should come to the village headman rather than he go to the Buddha. They reasoned it out that particular Upasada, the chieftain, is a well recognized and high caste, is a very rich person. Even the king has endowed the whole area for him, So therefore everyone is respecting him, and he is already a teacher for the other growing Brahmanas, and he has a very good reputation regarding his virtues and good look also, and well versed in his tradition, the Veda teachings, and therefore being so, if you are going to go, it is not nice. And the village headman, in return, he told that you do not know about the Buddha Gautama, that is why you are going to compare with myself with the Buddha Gautama. Had you come to know about him, you won't think like that. Likewise, he, in return, give the qualities of the Buddha. He says that the Buddha also came from a high caste, is the ruling caste, and his family is very pure, and not only that, he is very wealthy. He has renunciated already all the wealth, and also well learned, and he also teaching to a many number of disciples, and virtue-wise no comparison, and he is completely free from the desire, he is free from the hatred and free from the ignorance. So these are the qualities that we must really appreciate, and 9 epithets are very famous as far as the Buddha is concerned. He is very the accomplished person. He is fully endowed with all the qualities for a superhuman being to have, and he is fully enlightened being, and he is having Vidyacharana, that means the knowledge as well as the virtues to live in this world, and he is sublime person, and he only not teaching the human, he can teach the gods also, the celestial being also, and he is the best person to train untamable person. And likewise, he started to give good qualities of the Buddha, and then he told, whatever the objections you are going to present, I have already made up my mind. If you wish, you also can come with me. I am going to pay respect to the Buddha, because he came from all the way. We are having this kind of all the qualities, so we must appreciate it. We must go and pay respect. So accordingly, the other elders agreed to go with the village headman, even though unwillingly. So when the meeting happens, the Buddha also took interest and had a friendly talk with him, and how are you, and kind of thing. And after that, the elderly Brahmins started to ask questions and kind of clarification about their own views. While this is happening, there was a very young or youngest Brahmana called Karpatika, and he started to raise some questions here and there, disturbing the elders. And then the Buddha told, please don't interrupt while the elders are taking the chance and discussing, and you must wait and see. And then the village headman felt a little embarrassed, and he told the Bhante, this Karpatika, the person who is raising question, is a qualified person. He is well versed in all the Triveda, and we have a very good reputation for him. Therefore, I, for my understanding, feel he is qualified to discuss with Gautama the Buddha. Then the Buddha thought, according to the particular sutta, according to the discourse, he thought, if the village headman is to phrase this person known as Karpatika, he must be well disciplined, well educated person, but even then he must know where to raise a question. So once the normal discussion finished, I will give him a chance for him to ask questions. And equally the Karpatika, the particular the younger Brahman, he told, the Buddha, being a reasonable man, once he has made such a statement, he will accordingly give me a chance whenever he feels fit. So accordingly, after the normal discussion of with the elders, the Buddha directly look at the Karpatika, the young Brahmana's eyes, and then he comes to know this is the indication that the Buddha giving a chance for him to raise any question, if at all. So then he get an opportunity and ask a question, telling that we have a very big tradition, and accordingly a huge amount of things we are by hearting and do it very faithfully. And in our tradition, again and again it is mentioned, the teaching you find in this Hinduistic and Brahmanic books are the only truth, and the rest of this them are false. Them have no value. So you are coming from the separate or different tradition. How do you appreciate our teachings, which says that this Brahmanic teaching is the only truth, the balance are false? Then the Buddha asked question from this Karpatika. The family name was the Bharadwaja, and then now Bharadwaja, in your tradition, have any person claim that what they are by hearting, studying and teaching, this particular thing I have experienced, this particular thing I have seen? Is there any person claiming about this knowledge? In the Bharadwaja, the Karpatika says, no, that is not, no one is telling that it is experienced, or I have seen like that, but everyone says that this is the truth. This is the only truth, besides all are false. Then Buddha asked that, do your teacher, must be a very well-known person, does he claims that what he is teaching to you is teaching after experiencing or seeing, is as a truth, the only truth, the others are false? Then he says no. Then the Buddha asked that your teacher's teacher, does he claims that he is teaching with this confidence that it is true and he has seen? No. So likewise he bring up to the 7th generation backward and says, these are the renowned teachers, lineage you have. Does anyone claim this is the truth and others not? Then verily the Bharadwaja, the Karpatika says, no one makes such a direct statement as to this is the truth, this is the only truth, and besides this others are false, and I am talking with my direct experience, and I am talking with this after I see. No one is telling like that, but they say this is the truth, balance are wrong. Then the Buddha says, sorry, I have to give an example if it is so, for you to say, if, for example, if there is a file or line of blind people, the first one also blind, the second one also the blind, there's a lineage, and out of them, the one is following the others, but even the very first person, he can't see. But the second person is, without knowing that, he is just following the first person, the second person, third person, and the middle also do not know, the last also do not know. So therefore, this your teaching and your whole effort, whole theory, I would say it's a file of blinds, lineage of blinds. Then the Karpatika says, Bhante, now it is not only the faith itself, we are taking the stand, he says it is coming from we are heard from the seniors, so therefore it is not only guard, not only supported only by the faith, we have anusati. Anusati means a respected teaching coming from teacher to teacher, and therefore not mere faith We are not honored only with the faith, but we have this lineage also. We are heard from the elders. Then the Buddha says, Kapatika, that first time you took the stand of the faith, and I would say the faith has to Saddha Kapatika Ditteva Dhamme Dudha Vipaka. The faith has bifoc or dual kind of nature, dualistic kind of nature in this very life. You can understand whatever you accepted as your faith may be devoid of the truth. It's just a hollow. It is the false. But you have rejected as not your faith may carry the truth. It may be unmistakably that is the truth. And that is the nature of the faith. So that is the what you are going to take a stand of. And instead now you are going to say, not only I am taking the honor of faith, I am telling that it is coming from the lineage and they also respected people. We are not merely taken the stand of faith, it is coming by listening. Then the Buddha says, the second, what you have listened, telling, this is the truth, this is the only truth, besides everything is false, it also have the same fate. I have the biforked kind of a nature. In this very life you can understand what you heard may be completely empty, hollow and untruth. What you have rejected or what you have not pondered, thinking I have never heard about, may carry the truth. It may be unmistakably rich, and therefore not to argue on this further. For my omniscient knowledge, I can tell you in this whole world there are 5 such criteria. Upon that only people derive at a decision, but all are having this same weakness. But the selected according to this criterion and taken may be completely false, hollow and untruth. But you have rejected may have the truth, it's unmistakably, that is correct and rich. And what are the 4? What are the 5? He said the first one is the faith that you took as your one of your reasons or stand or honor. And the second thing is the desire or your likings. Third one is what you heard from your teachers, that is anusava. The fourth one is reasoning, argumenting, and fifth one is cognitive, or contemplative. So these are the 5 factors usually worldly beings deal with in order to arrive at a decision, but all 5 have the same mistake or same dualistic nature. Whatever maybe you find, you select telling this is my faith, and what you rejected as not in my faith may carry the truth. It may be unmistakably the realistic, but what you have selected as faith may be free of the truth, may be the just empty. And meanwhile, if whatever you take as your desire, this is my liking, others I dislike, this is my taste, and this is my desire, and that also yet another kind, just like the faith, you daily go in search of that particular desire and thinking that is carrying the truth unmistakably, but may not be. Whatever you rejected as not, or you could say it is not my liking or not my desire, and I have your taste and kind of thing, that may carry the truth. And the other one is these teachings coming from teachers, respected teachers, they definitely say this is the truth, this is the only truth, besides all are false. But the Buddha, with his omniscient knowledge, he says that particular thing may be completely devoid of, or just hollow, just unreal. But you have not heard yet may be full of the truth. It may be unmistakably the correct option. So therefore, even if you heard from the respected teachers, that also have the same faith. The fourth one is the reasoning, or argumenting. And there you deduce decisions and argue and say, rationalizing, argumenting and say, this is true because the other part failed, argumentally. But there also you can understand, even you are reasoning it out. Even you win in the argument, what you have proved may be free of truth, may be just hollow, just vain. Instead, what you have rejected in the argument may carry the truth, may be unmistakably carry the truth. The last one is the reflective kind of deduction. So that also, you may say, not like others, I have pondered into, I have contemplated upon and arrived at a decision, not simply. It is not a luck by chance, I did it. But even then, the Buddha questioned it or challenged it, telling that particular thing you deduce with this reasoning also may be free of truth, may be just the untruth. But instead, what you have not pondered or what you have not experienced may carry the truth. So this is, I think, not just a simple challenge for a Brahman youth like carpenter. Even the Buddhists have to give a second thought. Because whenever we become fundamentalists, when we are trying to see or try to prove the truth, what is we find in the Buddhism or Buddhist teaching, we are fighting and arguing, telling it is, we have the correct faith because our parents also Buddhists, and therefore it must, one day the truth must be there, and therefore we are secured, assured, because we have the faith on the Buddha, faith on the Dhamma, faith on the Sangha, and we take it to grant that we are in the correct path, we are in the middle path. But the Buddha says, even then, it is challengeable, it is questionable. And the second one is liking and disliking, or desire. But you approve, this is correct, this is this. When we become born Buddhist, definitely we never approve, we never appreciate others liking and disliking, or other denominations. We say we have to bring everyone into our denomination, our approve, our liking, until that we don't feel happy. But even then, even if the others are convinced and come and follow this way, there is no assurance that you are with the real destiny, the assured destiny. The Buddha said, maybe some other likings, other approval may have the truth, but you miss the bus. And when you go further, it is coming from the well-learned teachers, is well appreciated, and they are not normal people, serious. Therefore, I am listening from such people, therefore the truth must be there. One day I will meet it, I will meet it. The questioner. And the next thing is, you prove it by scientific experiment. This is whatever repeatable everywhere, and that is the only truth. The science is going to accept it. But even if you accept it with this kind of reasoning and argumenting, The Buddha says, it's questionable. But even you contemplative, as to say you have done a concentration meditation, you arrive at the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and then you say, you see the past life, the future, and all the kind of thing. And they usually recognize as a well-to-do people regarding the religious and spiritual circles. So they themselves take into grant that we are in the correct path, we know the truth, this is the truth, balance is false. Even then, the Buddha says that even your contemplative acceptance, questionable. So now the question, specifically for the people, those who have taken this meditation and kind of contemplative life, there is a very good particular discourse, how the sharpness and the omniscient knowledge of the Buddha, how it is leading. It is not a kind of a package. Just by taking that, you are already liberated. It is not a way of salvation. Instead, you have to keep on practicing according to the lead, the instruction the Buddha given. So therefore, Buddha says, Kapatiga, if someone says, I am preserving the truth, and this is the truth, which I believe or take it to grant as a faith, which I desire or which I approve or take my liking, and this is what my teacher taught me, and this is what argumentally I can prove, and this is what I pondered into and reflected, and still I find true, and this is the only truth, the balance is false. I don't appreciate such a way of preservation of the truth. This is not the way to preserve the truth. And point blank, Buddha made statements and keep silent. And then for our benefit, thanks to Kapatiga, he put the correct question. Okay, Bhante. Now you have comprehended all the possible criteria, 5, that I accept. And I accept your challenge, telling if you are going only by faith or something like that, it is just following the blind line of a blinders or blind people, file of blinds. And now you say it is not the way to preserve the truth. So I humbly ask you, what is the way to preserve the truth? Then the Buddha says, one must have to take the faith, yes, but he must know this is not the only truth. The truth may be lying besides that. So you must understand the limitation of the faith. It's a one way of working, but you must not arrive at a decision, this is the truth, but I have taken as the faith. And besides it's wrong, don't come to that decision. Keep it open. Keep the subject open. And you may say, this is my approval, this is my taste, this is my desire. Okay, it is good to start, but you must not arrive at a decision. What I desire, what I approve is the only truth, besides it's wrong. Instead, if you keep it open, yes, this is just one is the desire, faith. Now I am talking about the desire, but when due to the desire, we have the motivation. Otherwise, no one will take any motivation or creative thinking or forward planning or kind of leading life. So therefore, you must take your desire, your approval, your liking and disliking, but you must not rush to a decision as to this is the only truth, but I decide what my liking, rest is not truth. Instead, keep it open. Keep it open, meanwhile strike through. Go ahead. And what you have heard about from your teachers, or we can say book knowledge, it's also good. That is what the intelligent people start with. But while you keep on practicing with the amount of knowledge that you have, that you can say theory knowledge, taken from the teacher, even if it is going to be beneficial for you, you must not arrive at this. And my teacher is the only teacher. This is the truth. Besides is wrong. You must understand. So far, so good. But we must not rush to a decision for such bold statements. Instead, keep it open. And if you argumentally or rationally prove it, experimentally retest it, and you are sure it is the truth according to your understanding, it's a good way. But if you are arriving at a decision telling this is the only method, this is the only truth, besides is wrong, that is not up to the mark. That is what you must understand, that blinding you. Keep it open. The last one is the reflective acceptance. Not like others, you take time and you accept the precepts and virtues, keep on concentrating, and while you are doing, a certain amount of success may come. Accordingly, you may achieve that upachara samadhi, appana samadhi, that means access concentration and the absorption, and sometimes this materialistic sphere, rupa jhana, and go to the arupa jhana, and you can go to and see the past life, the future, what is going to happen next, and by getting the divine eye, getting the divine hearing, clairvoyance, and all the kind of thing, and more you get, definitely you are going to believe this is the truth. But still, that is the omniscient knowledge, that is the insight, the deep insight the Buddha have. He says, even if you contemplative acceptance is there, up to that it is truth, yes, but you must not arrive at a decision, that is the truth. Besides is false. That is the blinding factor. So this is a very good kind of theoretical and practical hint for a person, whoever may be, going to take this meditative life. I would say mindfulness or insight meditation or spiritual practice. More and more you go with this spiritual way of life, there are a number of pitfalls, number of things you have to take care. Otherwise, you will be taken for caught up into a whirlpool, and you will be rotating in the same place. You don't know what happens because you are normally, according to your own valuation, high and above from the normal commoners, normal science, sansaric beings, and you are better off because you are restraining yourself with the virtues, and you are concerned about the precepts, and you are sacrificing on that, and therefore you expect that whatever you are going to do is going to give the real ultimate benefit, unmistakable truth. But even after taking the precepts, you find the suffering is the suffering. No change. So therefore, those who have already taken such a vow, not to kill, not to steal, not to have a sexual misconduct, not to have verbal misdeeds and intoxications and wrong way of life, they are not easy things. And those who have taken this kind of moral restrainment or sila sikha, they know it's going to make a big difference in their life. I would say not in the life, not whole in samsara. But even then you are meeting with so much of sufferings. Others expect that you being a virtuous person, there should not have any suffering because you are virtues and precepts, but you yourself knows you're going to have some suffering. Still there. So therefore, you can't stop at that level, you have to go further. Ultimately you will take up this concentration meditation, the samadhi sikha, with the qualification of this virtues, morality. And when you go there, then you will think, once that jhanic experiences are achieved. Once these 5 hindrances are gone, and the mind is, stream of consciousness is clean, and then there won't be any problem, then everything will be okay. But once you go there only, you will understand the mind, the stream of consciousness, with hindrances and without hindrances, still a fair amount of suffering is there. Up to the amount that you expected, it is not going to give. And if you are going to say that this kind of reflective acceptance is going to give the truth and definitely on the path, you will get discouraged if you do not know the real Dhamma, real way the Buddha it is explaining. So therefore you have to understand, it gives certain amount of relief, and that is not the ultimatum. You must not arrive at a decision, now I have achieved. Instead what happens is, you become more vulnerable unless otherwise you are really serious about your views. So therefore, this Karpatika, the particular Brahman's question, is very important. He says, "Oh, Venerable Gautama, please teach me about the preservation of the truth, Satchanurakkhana." Buddha says, you have to use the faith, you have to use the approval, the desire, you have liking and disliking, you have to take the teachings, theory knowledge, rationalizing and contemplation, but don't take into the grant that this is the one. Or you have to, you must not conclude with that, you have to keep the issue open. So this is a very important, because whenever you introduce virtues, as I mentioned earlier, you can understand the life with virtues and life without the virtues. Life without the virtues means before you restrain yourself, you know your sole idea is to indulgence in the sensuous pleasure or self-indulgence. You keep on doing. Sometimes you harm yourself, sometimes you harm others, sometimes you harm present moment, sometimes you harm future. But even then, sole objective is to maximize the pleasure. Well, keep on, you understand, it is creating so much of repercussions, turmoils, caught up into the vortex. So then only you take precepts. When the precepts taken, definitely you will be taken to the least frictional part, to the more middle, and then the straightening of the path happens. But after a while again you find the same kind of dissatisfaction, the same kind of suffering, the torturing nature in there. And if you are going to argue being a virtuous person, then what is the use of all this restrainment if the same kind of suffering and the dissatisfaction comes? That means you will take the virtues as your ultimatum. You don't know, it's a part and parcel of your training. You have to keep the issue open, and when you go further to the concentration training, exactly the same. So to put into a practical example, one day I remember I gave a talk in the Buddhist Publication Society in Kandy, and there I taught yet another discourse, Anuggahita Sutta. It went for about 55 minutes. I was talking in Sinhala. And then after the 55 minutes I asked question. I asked the audience that I have 4 minutes, of course 5 minutes in this hour, and I can spend about 15 minutes. If you have any question, please come out. 1 or 2 questions came, of course. And then there was one nun in the front line, and she asked, before I becoming a nun, I was well satisfied with myself. That is why I renunciated and I took these robes. And I am now practicing as much as possible keeping my virtues. But to say, my question is, I have more desire and more sense pleasure and more lust after taking up these precepts. What is the answer? How you are going to deal it with? I was so happy because usually in Sri Lankan society, females are not raising this kind of questions. But I think she had enough. That is why she is asking from yet another disciple of the Buddha, do you also have? I also had the same. Up to the age 26, I had no any precepts. I was just following the university course. And one monk, so foreign monk, introduced the mindfulness. And I took it as just as a hobby. I never took it very seriously. As much as possible, try to be mindful. And slowly, I do not know, feel like becoming virtuous. It happened. I never considered the precepts as commandments. I started taking one by one. And then the hatred and the desire came up little in a peak way. So then luckily I had enough elders, they all were lay people. I went and told that earlier I never noticed this kind of desires or lustful feelings, sometimes hate so much, but now I feel again and again. They appear like frequent than the earlier. And the answer given was, if I remember clearly, not much clear, but according to the vague memory, this is, no, that is not the way. Usually they are there in your stream of consciousness, but you are not sensitive to them. So once you go to the self-restrainment through these virtues and kind of thing, you are become very sensitive, they become amplified. So that is why the complaint, so don't take it that you are committing more bad thing than earlier. So therefore, don't try to worry about that. You just keep on practice mindfulness, knowing the basic tendencies, the latent tendencies are not being tackled yet. They are underneath. We are only handling and understanding and making a map about these superficial things. So more and more you see it, the superficial become clear and clear, you see underneath huge amount of potential, for the good as well as the bad. But our mind has a special character to amplify the bad than the good. And that is why it happened. But at that time I never accepted it as a full answer. I thought they are just going to pacify me, just to give a theoretical answer, but I know they are mature people. So while practicing only you will come to know that more and more you try to restrain, more and more it appears like becoming violent. Simple or straightforward answer, straightforward example is in the commentary to the canon. It says if the wild buffalo, as far as it is in the wilderness, it's very calm and quiet. Seeing its strength, if a farmer going to catch it and take it to the village and tie into a pole, hardly driven into the earth, what happens? It becomes all of a sudden completely agitated. Can't live in the village, it can't live with the other animal and being, so it tries hard to break the thread or break the rope and go back to the wilderness. Exactly like when we are going to restrain something, there is a kind of an internal turbulence happens. So if you are going only with the faith, you will say, I did it with so much of faith and restrainment and all the kind of, but how can then this desire and hatred or that kind of malice can't come? And if you are going to say, by my approval I did it, and even then, you see, you are going to see not only the tip of the iceberg, you are going to see the whole iceberg. And if your teacher going to say that this is going to give a kind of a lasting answer, but what you do is, what you are observing is, it is just the changing of the face, changing of the combination, exactly the same. And if you are going to reason it out, tell your friends and others, I am better off, I am getting this one and kind of thing, ultimately whenever you are stricken with this negative thing, you are lost twice. And if you are contemplative and kindness, still this happens. So therefore you have to understand, they are just tools. They are advancing you, but don't arrive at a decision. Keep the issue, keep on going. And the more, I will relate yet another story. And when in the university, when we are not practicing, one of my friends told that in a gathering, my mother is meditating. So at that time we don't know what is the meditation and all the kind of thing. And then everyone asked, what is meditation, what she is doing. He told that she is practicing Metta Bhavana, Maitri Bhavana. Then the other one asked, what is the Maitri Bhavana? He told, I don't know. I don't know Maitri Bhavana, how to do and what are the benefits, nothing. And then yet another person asked, how do you know then your mother is practicing Metta Bhavana? Then he told, she says Metta Bhavana, before practicing meditation, she go home to the village, the temple, and spend the day and come happily and no problem. Soon they started Metta Bhavana, daily she come with so much of angry, and at home she is making so much of trouble, therefore definitely she is doing Metta Bhavana. This is the way. Before the Metta Bhavana, no problem. After starting, so much of family problems. So this is what, of course this Sutta directly not tackling that kind of thing, but we must be aware of it. So, as far as you are taking them as tools, and as far as you know, we are doing with the open issue, anything can happen, that means you are safe enough. If you are going to recommend my faith is the faith, if you are going to take my faith, these are the results, ultimately you are committed to show the results. And you are going to say, this is my desire, so my family members also should take the same desire. And once you fall into trouble, you are answerable. And you are going to say, I met a specific kind of a teacher. He gave the real truth, that is the truth. Besides he is wrong, please come and follow. And by that means, if you are going to commit some mistakes, met with some mistakes, you become answerable. It becomes your responsibility. You get committed. And you say, I am talking with that argumenting and reasoning, but even then there is no assurance, there is no disturbance or friction in future. And even after contemplation, that is what it happens. So therefore, in this vipassana, in this inside meditation, throughout it teaches you not to assume. Not to assume I am a faithful person. Not to assume that I took this way of life with my approval. Not to assume this is my great teacher's teaching. Not to assume I am doing with my own reasoning and argumenting. Not to assume that this is my way of contemplation, this is acceptance with the contemplation. Keep the issue open. So this is the most difficult part. Not sit and meditate, not to gain the concentration. When and where the concentration comes, when and where the mindfulness sets in, when and where the faith comes, each and every one, you have to treat it in such a way, according to the teaching of the Buddha, he is always asking us to consider them not as me, not as mine, not as my soul. Even if you develop faith day by day, you must not consider this particular faith as mine. You must not consider this faith as me. You must not consider this faith as my soul, myself. And even the energy. Sometimes when you are sitting, you can straightforward, very straightened mind, and keep the upright position throughout the meditation, and the mental aspect of energy is there. And when that happens, you have to understand, this is not me, this is not mine, this is not my soul. At a time this is me, other time other possible thing also can happen. So each and every mental aspect you are developing, for example, better part, even then, soon you are going to assume it is going to make a lot of troubles, suffering. If you are take it still, but unassuming way, Whenever the factors, or cause and effect factors come into line with, things are happening. It is not me, it is not mine, it is not my soul. If that is the way if you are going, definitely the progress is boundless. You never get stuck in different stages. You are always progressing. So therefore you have to understand these 5, each and everyone has same mistake. So when and where you arrive at a decision, you yourself has to recontemplate and see, I arrive at this decision out of what? Due to the faith, or due to my approval, or due to the theory knowledge, or argumenting and experimenting, or contemplation. And you have to tell, I arrived this decision with these 5, therefore take it in that way. Don't take it as this is the truth, this is the lasting decision, and besides others are wrong. That is what you have to, not to be blindfolded, not to arrive at such a fool-headed kind of a decision. So this is the only difference among the other denominations in the Vipassana. Always you have to be very humble. Always you have to keep the issue very open, and you have to tell, I arrive at this decision with that criteria. Take it up to that, take it to grant up to that level, but don't think it is a lasting decision. That is definitely only the truth, balance is wrong. So the situation worst whenever you are going to gain some more concentration, not like the virtues. When you are reading the Sutta Pitaka, if you are going to study in the systematic way, the very first book is known as Digha, the long discourses. The very first one, it says the wrong views, 62 views. And 2 Westerners, they have analyzed this sutta, and they say 49 of the views come for the well-concentrated people. 13 they come for other wise people. Normal commoners have no such views. They are worried about their sense desire. They are worried about their bread and butter. But once you come up to the well-concentrated and well-contemplated, and specifically once achieved, there are a lot of whirlpools. You can get caught up. So you have to understand, even more and more you become virtuous, more and more you become concentrated and with the contemplation, nothing assuring you the final goal. Till you achieve the final goal, you have to keep everything open. That is the single message with this particular sutta. And now, for the last 30 years, I have been among this meditation and the spiritual circles, and I have seen how some traditions come out with so popular all of a sudden, and then become big issue, and all of a sudden it completely disappears. And so much of advertisement and show off, but later ultimately you don't know what happened. But meanwhile, there are some people, they are not going for that kind of a quick and kind of results. They keep on practicing, keeping the subject open. That is the most important thing for unlimited development. And therefore, wherever you are going to assume that I am virtuous than yesterday, I am more concentrated than the last sitting, and I am sorry I am less concentrated than last meeting, that each and everyone is invariably helping, and I am going to give a hint telling that you are going to assume either faith or concentration or reasoning or your theory knowledge or your liking and disliking as yourself, or your it is me, it is mine, it is your soul like. Of course, it's a very big question. If there is no such a thing, where is the motivation? How can we keep on practicing? That is the question. So therefore the Buddha never devalue this motivation. He says keep them, but don't think, don't arrive at a decision to say this is the truth, balance is wrong. So therefore while practicing, this is really helpful to get different definitions for mindfulness in practice. As far as you are taking time, there is no success and failure, no good and bad. Each and every experience have the same value. Beginners are usually result-oriented. And out of these results also, for my understanding, we have a great desire for concentration. That is the only criterion we are searching about. Whenever the concentration is bad, we think meditation is bad. Whenever the concentration is good, we think meditation is good. That was the complete picture about 30-40 years ago. Everyone thought meditation is concentration, so if you can't develop concentration, you have no hope regarding meditation, you completely, totally give up. But now, over the last 30-40 years, the very really thoughtful meditation masters put mindfulness is the best. Mindfulness is the one to keep in front and not the concentration. I am very happy to introduce that Venerable Jnanaponika, the founder of the Buddhist Publication Society in Sri Lanka. He has written a book known as Power of Mindfulness. And in the very first page, he gave this priority. He placed the mindfulness in the proper place. And I think one copy is there in the library also. And it says that in a general spiritual people, either have very little understanding or no understanding about the mindfulness. If you ask about the faith, definitely they know. They know how to promote it, not on them, they know how to promote it in the neighbors also. And if you ask about the aspect of energy, the virya, the heroic mind, they understand it. If you ask about the concentration, that is one they are chasing behind. And the wisdom, yes. But if you ask about the mindfulness, no one knows. Even with the whole effort, if you teach them, this is the meaning of mindfulness, these are the characteristics of mindfulness, these are the functions of mindfulness, these are the proximate factors of the mindfulness, these are all very hardly they keep the mindfulness in the proper place. They always give the priority for the faith, the energy, concentration and the wisdom. He says the faith can do wonders. It is doing, it will be. But only the mistake is unpredictable. With the faith you are doing miracles, but the next time when you do, it may be a failure. But with the energy, the heroic energy, and dashing through, you can achieve something. But not credible, not predictable. The concentration also the same. When you are concentrated, do marvels. But whenever the mind got scattered off, you are completely desperate. Double negative. And the wisdom also the same. When the power line is aligned, or wise, everything can be sorted it out. But next day, when your mind becomes muddled and puddled and completely bewildered, you can't believe how damaging the mind is. So he says, they are very colorful characters, do very immediate results, but not predictable. Only difference between these four and the mindfulness is, once the mindfulness starts, it is not assuring quick results, but the predictability. He put it in such a way, the mindfulness is such a shy character. It never asks for its rights. It is not fighting for its rights. It is not finding fault with others also. It shines within. And therefore Buddha or a really revolutionary person has to ask the mindfulness to come and take the chair. Because it is its credentials, mindfulness is not such a character asking for rights, so therefore it's always very shy and back. But very, very rarely, he says only the Buddha can only do it in the first place, and some other take hard this mindfulness as the main thing, And once the mindfulness taken the chair, all the others will do the task in due place, and then your life becomes slowly organized. Then the predictability comes. And for the assurance, for the better side, for the positivity, he says, one thing he can assure, when Jnanaponika says, once the mindfulness taken the chair, it will never get down from the chair. That is the marvelous thing. That is why you have to teach the mindfulness for your dear and near one as early as possible. Not it is the matter of teaching others. You have to learn as early as possible. Once the priority is selected and given the proper place for the mindfulness, is all the weaknesses in the faith, your liking and disliking and desire, and theoretical teaching, I am talking according to this Sutta, and this rationalizing and contemplative, everything will be positive, but its negative part will be compensated. So that is why it says that the mindfulness, it is being sometimes recognized as the diligence, the last word of the Buddha. The diligence is known as Appamada. The last word of the Buddha, as the summary of the whole 45 years of teaching, he says, Appamadena bhikkhave sampadeta. O monks, fulfill your duties diligently. All the other aspects, as I mentioned, this faith and others, important. But you have to understand there are weaknesses, and with compared to that, mindfulness, how can mindfulness lead the other mental factors, and how the life become organized, how the mental situation become organized, and the predictability come, and then the gathering of the momentum and the gathering of the experience happens. So therefore, for the last 30-40 years, specifically American magazines, they say they are not organizing Buddhist circles. Now they are organizing mindfulness circles. So therefore, the religious aspect, the rituals, and all the others become less and less important. The proper understanding of the value of mindfulness, the proper understanding of the humbleness, proper understanding of unassuming nature, the choiceless awareness are becoming very, very demanding. And therefore nowadays the Buddhism become a popular subject among the intellectual people. Those who can understand this through their wisdom and be humble and practice, don't expect any results, keep on practicing. What you are doing is accumulating more and more knowledge or data about who am I. To the point, who am I? What is the present moment? And once the mindfulness going to take at least a single subject and thorough with it, it explains the whole universe. Usually people think that we have to be mindful about the whole universe, then only we will be knower of the universe. But the Buddha says, if you know very well about the breath, the single aspect, or very well about the left step and the right step, or whatever the one aspect of your life, it is representing the whole your life. Not only that, the human nature, the human mind, the universal mind. So by the way you reach the depth according to your character traits and your memory and the past, what you are understanding is how the human mind is working. So therefore, usually it appears when you go to a corner and sit and practicing mindfulness, appear like it is completely selfish thing, and not worrying about the others' benefits, others' welfare, and minding only one's own benefit and welfare. So therefore many can complain. Specifically monks like us living in the forest are often being criticized, telling that we are worrying only about our own well-being, and therefore not worrying about the political issues, not worrying about the social issues, and not worrying about the economic issues and all the kind of thing. But the Buddha, he never gives support for this kind of argument. He says, he who understands his own mind, he will never rush to a decision. He is sharing and understand the whole human mind, the consciousness, and therefore he is the only person can see the picture as it is. And that is how he is doing, what he is doing is not harming others. Sabba papa sakarana. Whole Buddhism is thinking, doing meritorial deeds. But Buddha Dhamma teach not to do mistakes. Completely different perspectives. So it's a well known among the educated people, the teaching of the Buddhas, not the Buddha, is first do no harm, sabba papa sakarana. Kusala sopasampada, and reaching the wholesome things, doing wholesome thing is second. Then only your mind can be purified. So this is how you see through the ism. You see through the ritualistic part. That is what helped us to bring up to this level. Therefore we are not going to undermine it. We keep them in a due place and understand not doing harm is the best. Do not try to be smart in this very moment. Instead what you have to do is understand this very moment. If it is not so, our mind is always thinking about the past and the future, and we think we are very smart and we are taking decisions and all the kind of thing. But you do know you have lost the ground to be here and now. So mindfulness slowly bring home. You become at home. And when come only, the Buddha says, though the commoners criticize this as a selfish kind of thing, this is the only way you can help yourself as well as others. You can help the present moment as well as for the future. So therefore, we have to ask this question, as this Karpatika is, how Bhante we can preserve the truth. Even if you are not going to be enlightened beings in this very life, if you wish to preserve the teaching of the Buddha, but you have to say, this is what the Buddha says, and that much I know, and I am not going to guarantee you this and that. I heard like this. I have a faith on the Buddha, so much I know, but I don't know this is the only truth. This is the others is wrong, because Buddha has mentioned clearly, don't take that stand. Idameva saccam mogamanya, that is, this is the truth. Balance is, besides balance is false, Buddha categorically says, don't go to that kind of extremes. So when you are explaining others as well as explaining your own questions, you have to understand, you have to give it, in keeping it there in the due places. So therefore you will never encounter any argument, no encountering of conquering others. Because you are using them as tools, open issues, you are inviting anyone to come and practice. Meanwhile, you are also practicing. Ultimately what happens is, you slowly understanding this impermanent nature. Even if you take this as something to be faithful, the faith itself is impermanent. You have to strive through, you have to have energy, but that very energy is impermanent. And you will be shocked to hear, to the latter part of your meditation part, even the mindfulness is impermanent. One day you have to get rid of that mindfulness also. The concentration, the wisdom, each and everything just tools. The final liberation, you can't figure it out. At the beginning you are developing it wholehearted, going on, knowing their limitations. So telling this at the beginning is the true way of teaching. So more and more you go to the realistic practice or putting yourself seriously with the training of the virtues, training along the concentration and training of the wisdom, you must be slowly aware to what is the trick, what is the kind of instructions happening. And this is good because when we compare with other denominations, they are completely based upon faith, how much the damage they are doing to the human nature, the humanity, in terms of peace, they are torturing and killing and all the kind of holy wars. I'm telling that is their approval, they are liking and disliking, they consider others are barbaric. Those who are not willing to take their likings and disliking, they complete half souls. They say only believers have the soul, others are half souls. And they say this is the holy book, and if you put it down, you must be killed. And the other books, they don't care. And they say this is being proved argumentally, they are very happy to come to the stage and argue with, telling this and that, even they are winning. The Buddha says, it means nothing. And even with that faith, they themselves has so much of achieved people. And even then, no one claims they achieved the final liberation. No one says that the Kapataka accepted. This is the I see, this is I experience. That is lacking. So we being Buddhists have no special license. What you have to do, never accept anything as this is the truth. Besides balance is wrong. That is the way we make ourselves blindfolded. So the bold invitation or challenging kind of a task the Buddha placed in front of us is, make use the faith, make use your energy, so your approval, make use the teaching of the teachers, make use your reasoning, make use your contemplation, but understand limitations. Knowing the understanding is not a kind of a nihilistic thing. It is not a kind of a negative thing. The example it says in the commentary, in the traditional countries, something like Burma or Sri Lanka, you can see some people are selling these bowls, which is only used by monks. So if monk come to know a seller, he is telling that I am selling bowls, if anyone need, please call me. So that monk says, I need one. So he come and shows all the bowls. Ultimately monk, with his own knowledge, select one. And says, he is asking how much is this, and the monks are dealing the transaction in a monastic way, so that then the seller, the merchant will say this is the value of it. So then monk, knowing this is such a valuable thing, he keep on observing. While observing, in the bowl usually in the middle there's a welding, and over there often the leakages are there. So therefore monks are really look into that. If the professionally, technically it is not done, leaking happens. Usually it is covering with this coating, difficult to catch it. So the commentator says, after compromising the price, while searching, if he happen to see a hole, and then he will tell the merchant, oh, you say that such a price, but you see there's a hole here. And then what happened is that merchant says, okay, if it is so, I will reduce the price and compromise for a lower. That is what happened in Sri Lankan market. And then monkeys keep on searching. And one day he finds the second hole. And says, no, that you see, you are claiming this much of money, but this is having so much, you see, the second hole. And then the merchant will come back to the second price, second bargain. And then ultimately when the third one is found, the monk becomes disheartened. And then merchant also, he can't deny, but he accepts the third one also. Ultimately monk says that not necessary, I am not going to buy. So now that episode is finished. That commentator asks, is that finding fault with the ball, not yet purchased, is a negative thing, is a nihilistic? It's a failure of the particular monk? No. As far as it has not purchased, it's for the advantage of the monk. So this whole life, our whole samsaric life is with three holes. It is impermanent. It is suffering. It is soulness. So before compromising anything, if you know, all our relationship with your dear and near ones, impermanent. All our assets and all our knowledges, impermanent. So don't make so much of decisions and kind of thing. If you know it is impermanent, that knowing very impermanent is not something negative. It is not something destructive. It is not something nihilistic. And then you will arrive at a decision. If something impermanent, it is never leading to happiness. It is leading to suffering. And by contemplating with this all the impermanence, if you arrive at says that all what we do leading to suffering, or we can say all appointments are leading to disappointments, so therefore why should we worry about that appointment and disappointment? Everything is leading to suffering. Writing a book, a Western at all, life is a sum to be solved, worked out, with a complicated formula. Different people have different formulas, you have to sort it out. But whatever the formula, whatever the way of life, once the sum is worked out at the deathbed, everyone's answer is zero. Up to the death only we have all the differences, degrees. At the death everyone is the same. But it is too late. That is why it is called negligence. So if we know each and every moment we are dying, each and every moment we are reborn, and there we have a chance. Don't worry much about this kind of thing, because at the final exam you are going to get the zero. So then why should worry? And when that impermanent suffering going to give a theoretical way of answer for the worrying, can we say that taking this samsaric journey as an impermanent, nihilistic, unproductive, negative, and not creating any kind of a motivation? No. And whatever may be impermanent and suffering leading to selflessness and ungovernable nature, that you can reduce even simple by argumenting. That even if you take this impermanent and suffering thing as mine instead of impermanent, you are the sufferer. So the Buddha simply asked to see the impermanence as impermanent, just like the monk is going to search about his own bowl, that is his bowl to purchase. Please take each and every issue in going to come, even the in-breath and out-breath, even the left and the right of the leg. See their changing nature. And if it is leading to suffering, Buddha is asking, it is worthwhile to take them as mine? It is worthwhile to say that it is under control? Governable? No. So that if someone is contemplating on this way, the impermanent suffering and soullessness, many materialistic people say this is a kind of negative approach to the life. It's a kind of nihilistic approach, destructive to the society, and therefore they never give the proper appreciation. But the Buddha, knowing everything he says, it is a concoction, it is a little bitter in the taste, but that is the only medicine going to work. All the other medicine are sweet with the the sugar coating, but definitely going to end up with side effects, going to end up with the after effects. So if you are going to take only that sugar coating, end up with iatrogenic effect. The effect leaving you at the end of your body with the chemicals. But this is not. So that is how you have to appreciate the factor of mindfulness, the mental factor of mindfulness, and once you put the mindfulness, definitely it is throughout the journey it is asking you to not to assume, not to put others down, or not to yourself up, or others down, or yourself down, others up. Everyone keep it an open issue, so therefore your progress is completely unhindered. Endless it is going. So as far as the Sutta is concerned, this is only 1/3 of the philosophy the Buddha explained, and then the Kapataka accept, yes Bhante, I accept that if you keep the faith and the approval, the knowledge, reasoning and the contemplation as open, you can preserve the truth. But the Buddha says you can't reach the truth. Then Kapataka for our sake. He is asking, okay, Bhante, I accept the preservation of the truth. I beg you answer how to reach the truth. So we will leave it for tomorrow. And now we have already spent about 1 hour and 20 minutes or more. So reaching the truth and realization of the truth, with the time we will go on. And I would like to keep more and more with the individual's experience into it, together with this breathing and walking exercises, so that we may have our own examples in the practice also. So expect we to go into wandering into this reaching the truth. I am going to sum up the talk by this much. So it is just to explain how to preserve the truth with these available tools for human beings. So we also have to give a fair consideration about this, because we have taken time for this contemplative life or the religious life. So that is why I thought of sharing this, that may it help for you to get a proper perspective about your whole investment of time on this mindfulness and some theory understanding. May this theory understanding and the practical knowledge you have help promote and keep your spirit up and continue to practice more and more. Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we have a few minutes more. If someone have any question or any statements, welcome. Otherwise, what we can do is sharing all the merits with all the seen and unseen beings, and with our all relatives. We will chant the traditional stanzas and finish the day's program. Before that, if you have any question, I invite you, please raise it. Okay, hoping no questions, we are going to chant Ettavata Chanmehi, that is to share the merits with the seen and unseen beings, and sharing with the relatives and remembering our final goal. So together we will chant Ettavata Chanmehi. Ettavata Chanmehi Sambhatam Punya Sampadang Sabbe Deva Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya. Ettavata Chanmehi Sambhatam Punya Sampadang Sabbe Bhuta Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya. Ettavata Chanmehi Sambhatam Punya Sampadang Sabbe Satta Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya. Akasatta ca Bhummatta Deva Naga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Sasana. Akasatta ca Bhummatta Deva Naga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Desana. Akasatta ca Bhummatta Deva Naga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Mang Parang. Idang vo ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātiyo. Idang vo ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātiyo. Idang vo ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātiyo. Himina punya kammene māme bāla samāgamo. Satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiya. Himina punya kammene māme bāla samāgamo. Satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiya. Himina punya kammene māme bāla samāgamo. Satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiya. Idam me punyang asavakkaya vahang hotu sabba dukkha pamuccetu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.